Cicadas might be a nuisance, but to a trained ear, they can make music. That's one of the things you need to know to start your day for Tuesday, June 11th. I'm Eric Stock, and this is WGLT's The Leadoff. Now let's lead off with the war in Gaza and a proposed ceasefire that seems to be going nowhere. WGLT's Ben Howell has a reaction from a Central Illinois congressman.
Democratic Congressman Eric Sorensen says he hopes Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gives in to mounting diplomatic pressure calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Netanyahu is scheduled to speak in front of a joint session of Congress in July. Sorensen says there needs to be a better plan for what happens next in the region.
We have to make sure that we take out Hamas, but we can't just leave the people of Gaza and the people of the West Bank just out to dry. Because their homes are gone, their businesses are gone.
Sorensen says it's going to take more pressure on Netanyahu and the Israeli government to achieve a ceasefire deal. Some congressional Democrats have indicated they will boycott the joint address. Sorensen says he has not yet decided if he will attend. And regarding the Biden administration's new executive order meant to reduce migrant crossings, Sorensen says his stance on the border hasn't changed.
We need to make sure that the southern border is secure, but we also need to make sure that there is a pathway for those who want to immigrate to our country and follow our law.
The order suspends processing of most asylum claims when the 7-day average of unauthorized crossings at the southern border exceeds 2,500. Sorensen represents parts of Bloomington Normal. With reporting from Cameron Cutinello, I'm Ben Howell.
Here are some of the other stories that we're following in the WGLT newsroom. The McLean County Government Committee wants to ask voters whether the county should abolish its elected auditor position. The full county board will vote on the proposed fall referendum later this week. Bloomington police say a 26-year-old man was hospitalized after a shooting Sunday afternoon on Erickson Avenue. It was near the Boys and Girls Club. Police say his injuries don't appear to be life-threatening. Police have not made any arrests. And visitation is scheduled in East Peoria today for Sister Diane Marie McGrew, the president of OSF Healthcare. McGrew died Sunday after a long battle with cancer. She was 57. Find more on these stories at WGLT.org. The rare emergence of 2 broods of periodic cicadas at one time in central Illinois has attracted international attention from those who want to hear the soaring and ear-piercing mating choruses. WGLT's Charlie Schlenker caught up with the composer of experimental music at Funk's Grove in McLean County.
Usually the thing that I'm looking for, will disappear as soon as you talk. Whereas it's been really weird on this trip to be kind of not having to rush. Like, if they're there, they're there.
Karen Power is a composer from Ireland. She is in central Illinois because of the double brood emergence of cicadas. This year, for the first time in a couple centuries, 13 and 17-year cicadas emerged at the same time in central Illinois. Power likes incorporating natural sounds in her music. It has taken her to several continents, now to Springfield and further north to Funk's Grove in McLean County, to record what you're hearing now. Power got the idea of cicada music years ago in listening to a composition by electronic music pioneer Pauline Oliveros and the album Cicada Dream Band.
Where they went out and played with the cicadas, and I remember just thinking, that's fantastic. And so I have been keeping an eye on the different cycles to see whether an interesting one might happen in my lifetime. And then I nearly missed this. It was only about 6 months ago. I thought of it again and checked and realized, oh my God, it's 2024.
Power spends a lot of time listening to environments and then letting what she hears dictate how a piece might come about.
If the situation is where I'm working with improvisers and good listeners, that'll be a very different piece to if I'm working with like a symphony orchestra where it has to be notated, and then I bring the natural sound in with them, as opposed to my ideal situation is where humans and nature coincide. Over the years, I've kind of developed different systems of making this kind of thing work, because as you can imagine, musical systems are designed for a very particular purpose. We have nice harmony, and then we have not so nice harmony. And we have all the rules about, rhythmic relationships And what got me into this in the first place was always feeling that I didn't quite belong within that structure. And so I would hear these things out in nature, but the moment you try to control them, they misbehave. And I really like that.
In recording the cicadas, Power says she's been surprised at the amount of movement and the layers of sound and the expanse of what she hears.
Think about what happens when you're standing over a river. And if you look straight down at the river, for all intents and purposes, that river is both stationary and in motion. Because the flow is never ending, it can feel almost static, right? Because there's no beginning, there's no end. And this is how I feel about the sounds that I'm hearing right now. It's just they are absolutely belonging to some vast system that we don't know anything about. And so they're endless, and there's so much motion in it.
In Funk's Grove, the cicadas are high in the trees. It's a little tougher to record them, though there are compensations. Get something?
Yeah, some nice ticking, which usually gets drowned out. The frequency, the top end of the cicada call, links quite nicely with the wind. When does it become wind? When is it a cicada?
Power says she hopes her eventual cicada music will offer audiences the perspective that not everything needs to conform with what humans believe it should be. I'm Charlie Schlenker.
Karen Power will give a talk about recording techniques at 3 this afternoon on the ISU Quad, and a presentation about her music in Kemp Recital Hall at 4, and hear more about the cicada composition at WGLT.org. Before we let you go, Bloomington's Liquor Commission meets today. On the agenda, a request to sell alcohol at Autorama, an indoor and outdoor car show at Grossinger Motors Arena this Saturday. That's it for today. I'm Eric Stock. You can subscribe to the Leadoff on the NPR app or wherever you get your podcasts.